The economic crisis that hit industrialized countries over the last 3 years is undoubtedly a great challenge for the world economy, but it also represents an opportunity for outsourcing providers such as Cedacri, which are able to offer a concrete answer to a need that all clients have, reducing costs while keeping the same services as always. This is particularly true for companies in the banking sector, affected by an excess of norms, regulations increasingly more rigid even in Europe, and growing requirements in terms of liquidity and capital. The profits of these clients is now no longer able to return even the capital invested. A statistic on all of them: the average ROI of banks has over the course of the crisis fallen from 12% to 4% or even less. The Cedacri Group addresses itself essentially to the financial and banking sector, from which, moreover, the company itself comes from. But through its facilities management services, it's now addressing itself to companies of the industrial world as well. All of these clients that are no longer able to raise their profitability by increasing their earnings, which also depend on national economies, which, as we know, are in this period unfortunately not growing as they should be, are forced to avail themselves of a fundamental tool: the recovery of profits through cost reduction.
Turning fixed costs into variable costs is one of the typical advantages of outsourcing. Adding a rehosting project to this allows one to further lower cost levels. In the first phase, passing from in-house management to the outsourcer, one obtains substantial initial savings. Rehosting then permits one to lower costs even further, savings that translate into a decrease of the annual invoice of the outsourcer handling the management.
The Technology Consulting Unit of HP features a European research center specialized in rehosting projects. In this research center, all of the experiences of the projects realized in Europe and throughout the rest of the world are concentrated, which allows these experiences to be reutilized over the course of future projects.
Cedacri is interested in transformational outsourcing for two reasons. The first is internal. Since we ourselves have most of our application platforms on mainframes, we see in rehosting a way of saving on costs. Secondly, as providers of infrastructure outsourcing, we find ourselves dialoguing with clients that work with mainframe platforms but who have two goals: to switch to an outsourcer without changing platforms in order to save immediately with the same platform, but also to migrate onto an open platform in order to save not on outsourcing but on the change of platform.
In our outsourcing offer, the ability to also offer rehosting projects has become fundamental because with this methodology, we're able to achieve greater efficiency, which in turn lowers the total cost of managing the IT resources.
When talking about the modernization of mainframe applications, there isn't just a single approach, but various strategies which can be used. There's re-engineering that involves rewriting the applications. There's replacement when the applications are substituted for others. There's retirement when entire processes are eliminated and consequently the underlying applications as well. And then there's rehosting, which is one of the strategies that allows one to modernize the mainframe.
Mainframe transformational outsourcing is the combination of two different projects. The first is about outsourcing, the moving of systems over to another organization that manages them on behalf of the client. The second project is the actual rehosting, which involves moving the application from the mainframe to an open system.
By being able to count on a transformational outsourcing service, Cedacri is able to anticipate the commercial decisions of its clients. We can in fact propose an offer that sounds like this: let us take over your structure right away, guaranteeing you immediate savings. Later on, since the future will presumably be based on open systems, not only for economic reasons, but also because of the ever-increasing availability of applications created for this operative environment, we will accompany you over time along the path to emancipation from the mainframe. Therefore, immediate economic savings, and afterwards the necessary competence to handle the transition from mainframes to open systems, because a project of transformational outsourcing is complex and not everyone feels comfortable handling it on their own. Finally, the actual transition, with the guarantee of complete management continuity, since Cedacri has the capability to manage applications hosted both on mainframes as well as on open platforms. In summary, this kind of solution allows Cedacri to anticipate the commercial cycle in its relationship with clients.
Among the advantages that a rehosting project brings, a rehosting project done well that is, there is a greater control over the budget and an overall reduction in costs. One needs to keep in mind, however, that such results are not at all easy to achieve. That is why it's important to avail oneself of the external capabilities of a company that has amassed consolidated experience in handling projects of this kind.
Through rehosting projects undertaken in an outsourcing context, our clients benefit not only from a significant reduction in management costs, but also from more scalability, from more affinities and abilities, and a reduction of risk. The relationship between HPE Cedacri started many years ago and is comparable to a beautiful betrothal, because HP brings a range of technological platforms and capabilities that are then utilized by Cedacri to deliver to its clients the outsourcing services that they need. In the case of rehosting projects, this betrothal has become a marriage in which HP brings technological capabilities above all in the areas of migration, the actual rehosting, and in which Cedacri employs its project management skills and knowledge of the functional processes, with the characteristics of the initial processes and the constraints to respect at the end of the migration project.
When we propose rehosting projects, our goal is to provide end-to-end solutions, taking charge of our clients' needs from the beginning and accompanying them until they start obtaining the real benefits, both explicit and implicit, that were defined in the business case. One of the activities undertaken in HP's rehosting practice consists in constantly monitoring the technologies available on the market. In the case of Cedacri, we decided to integrate Clarity products into the overall HP rehosting solution. Clarity played a fundamental role in the context of the Cedacri project. It provided the core technologies for the execution of the applications in a distributed environment, and it was also the provider of services supporting the migration activity performed by HP. Clarity is a native solution in a distributed environment, distinguished by its strong compatibility inside mainframe systems. It was chosen because, thanks to these characteristics, it offered us the highest guarantee in carrying out an end-to-end project.
Thanks to the union of the capabilities of Cedacri and HP, we are able to deliver the highest possible benefits to our clients.
For Cedacri, transformational outsourcing represents a way to lower our costs and proceed from mainframes towards operating platforms based on open systems. Before offering this type of process to our clients, we however chose to try it out on an application platform that we put at the disposition of a company in the group. For this, we chose Ribes.
Ribes is a company that belongs to the Cedacri Group, which specializes in business profiles. Therefore, it was a question of rehosting an application that constitutes the core of the company's IT system. Moreover, it is an application that is surrounded by other mainframe systems with which it dialogues, flowing both in and out. It was therefore important to apply our competence in investigating the numerous interfaces of this application to develop applications and come up with a solution that was heterogeneous and entirely integrated between the mainstream world and the open world.
What we did was to agree with the internal client about the advantages, risks, and opportunities of a project of this kind, and then proceeded only after agreeing that the aims were acceptable for all of the parties involved.
Ribes is a live application. Every applicative change made on the program takes away an effect or adds a new functionality, therefore affecting on the core business of Ribes itself. One of the difficulties that we have found ourselves facing was therefore managing the life cycle of the application, which proceeded over the course of the rehosting project. Our method, which is strongly automatized, allows one to progressively acquire images of the software, even when it is in use, and thus does not impose long periods of cold freezes on the client, but instead simple periods of synchronization necessary for realignment. The delivery model presupposes the presence of a local team. In this case at Cedacri, which was made up of a project manager, specialized in rehosting projects, a solution architect, and various technology consultants, who handled all of the activities related to the Ribes and Cedacri project. bringing with themselves all of the experience accumulated in HP's European Research Center.
HP helped us both with regards to the technology as well as in managing the process. Cedacri instead had the opportunity to apply all of its experience in piloting the project, in the design of the technological infrastructure, and in the design of the interfaces that put the rheostat environment in communication with all of the other Cedacri systems.
Over the course of dozens of projects, HP has optimized a methodology that provides the minimum impact of this type of solution on the operating environments of the clients.
When one talks about rehosting, it's difficult to generalize. We are, however, able to tell you that we have saved around 30% of our clients' recurring costs, and we hope that the same can happen for you too. Open systems are without a doubt a credible alternative to mainframes. Technology today allows them to do the exact same things. If everything proceeds as planned, the end client rarely notices that a rehosting project is being carried out. Indeed, in some cases, they are able to perceive benefits. Above all, in terms of flexibility, thanks to the possibility of being able to use the applications in time windows which before the rehosting were not available.
The Clarity solution allows one to reach in rapid time an operative level that is practically identical to that provided by a mainframe.
When one talks about rehosting, it's difficult to generalize. But in an average project, duration varies between 10 and 12 months. 30% of the time is devoted to the analysis phase. Another 30% is used to manage the design and the migration, based on a number of macro functions that must be managed. The remaining time is then devoted to testing and tuning, which is very important.
In the case of Ribes, we carried out a parallel project that accompanied the preparation for the rollout. The rollout was then done in a single weekend, and in the space of 1 week, the application was completely stabilized, reaching its maximum operational level. We can summarize the main advantages of open systems in comparison to mainframes in 3 macro categories: the infrastructure and the technology that distinguishes it, the life cycle of the software, and resources. The infrastructural advantages depend on the fact that with rehosting, it is possible to use both vertically and horizontally scalable systems, according to the needs of the moment. The application cycle of the software can support new languages that are more modern and aligned with current market trends, allowing the client to break away from COBOL 6 DB2, the typical programming language of mainframes. The third factor, not to be overlooked, concerns the resources. The introduction of these new methods of development allows one to call upon new pools of resources that are fresher and more creative.
Among the numerous advantages that rehosting provides, cost reduction is undoubtedly fundamental. But as time goes on, the capacity of the outsourcer to guarantee an excellent and reliable level of service has become equally fundamental. A quality performance made possible by the best industrial standards of which an outsourcer worthy of that name cannot but equip themselves. From the many monitoring systems of the client's disposition to the service level agreements, all components that are by now part of the operating context of modern outsourcing. So therefore, by doing a rehosting project in an outsourcing context, one gets the usual traditional advantages of a financial nature and of reducing risk, as well as the guarantee of operating in a secure environment in which the level of service was guaranteed before and is guaranteed after the conclusion of the project itself.